Last time on Depth Perception. Today's episode is brought to you by the phrase Indigenous representation. Our voices do not speak for all Indigenous peoples, and our views. Our talking points for today include a brief background on our own Indigenous roots, historical versus stereotypical portrayals in movies, and with this one, think educational versus borderline or overtly racist. Then we'll move into movies in the modern age, i.e., past the time of horses and bows and arrows and whatnot. Next is insight into our own communities in relation to these films. What makes us happy or proud to see in movies with Indigenous representation. And finally, our own personal favorites. Why don't you learn something about your culture?
God, she ties that to the knife.
Rope should stay with the ropes.
I'll turn this thing around. I turn it.
Hold that one then for later or later.
Yeah.
Hold it for later.
That one.
Hold it for later.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Full of panda bears.
And I'm for that. I'm panda bears. That's great.
Then we'll move into movies in the modern age, i.e., past the time of horses and bows and arrows and whatnot. Okay, Wind River is next. So, for those who haven't seen it, murder takes place. Is it on? It's not on the reservation, right? Or is it?
I think it is.
Okay. Well, missing woman turns up, and it's deemed that she's been murdered, or it's a homicide, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have Jeremy Renner, we have Elizabeth Olsen. Well, that's right, it has to be on Native because the FBI is involved.
Yeah.
So they investigate it, and turns out she went in a pretty bad fashion. Jeremy Renner makes sure that justice is exacted. Another foreshadow for a future episode of ours. And I won't go too much further into the plot. So if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Then we'll pause, go see it, and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think about that one?
I loved it. I loved the representation. I loved the story. I loved Sheridan's desire to tell the story from that perspective. The way he collected and researched to do it in a way that honored the issue. And shout out to filmmakers that try to tell a story and then drape it in authenticity as much as they can. So he's not a Native filmmaker. You know, he does westerns and whatnot, but he wanted to tell this story with some integrity, some
intelligence.
Yeah, honestly, some intelligence, but also some fidelity. He wanted to be true to the issue, and so did a lot of digging and a lot of homework on the numbers. And he kind of let the numbers write the movie, from what I understand. Like, let the numbers of missing Native women, and let the numbers of uninvestigated cases of missing Native women, and let the numbers do the talking on the number of missing Native women uninvestigated and closed files that should have never been closed, that would have never been closed off the reservation, that would have never been closed, that weren't even scratching the surface, that were just not even just thrown to the side. But yeah, we can't look into that. I mean, those are some big. You're picking some dance partners that are heavyweights if you're going to write a movie about that, and to do it in a way that kind of shines a light in some really, really creepy and really uncomfortable places, and make it entertaining and make it something that, you know, you get your little bit of vigilante justice, you get a little bit of, you know, the cop movie, the heroic, then you get the heroic white cop who has a heart for the Native folks, and we find out why a little bit later. I mean, again, you're telling a story for the masses. If it wasn't just for a Native audience, So, yeah, you have your Jeremy Renner.
You have your A-list movie
You
star.
have your A-list movie star who's going to be the... And, for a topic like this to get out there more, fine. Bring them on, and I liked the movie the first time I watched it. I don't know, did I watch it with you guys or no? I watched it at the theater.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
saw
yeah.
it with Daryl.
Yep.
I think we didn't plan it. It was just we ended up being at the same theater.
Yeah,
at the
and
same time.
I thought to myself, man, left there saying this was a great movie, and it made me feel there were parts of it that made me feel a little bit ashamed of who I am a little bit, and there's some parts of my community that I'm not proud of, like the putting things under the rug for convenience sake. We don't want family to, don't talk about it. Shameful. That still happens. Some of that, and we don't want to talk about that abuse, or we're moving past that. We don't want to talk about that. We want to sweep it under the rug, but it's like, at what cost, though? We talked about that like last week a little bit, like at what cost? Like, who ends up footing the bill for that? It's the person who's been traumatized, or maybe the family that's lost that kiddo.
Yeah.
They end up footing the bill for that, and so Sheridan tells this story of, and I think in the most authentic way that he could, using of course, a non-native star, A-list star, to be the hero, but.
Well, I think that's what's important, though, is the point of view of our protagonists, both Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. Olsen being like the FBI agent that comes in, and because to me it was a visit, into the problems that those folks face in that nation, and probably indicative of a lot of other nations that they face similar issues. So I think that point of view was important, especially for Olsen's character, because she didn't know anything about it, about these people, about that culture, about these problems. And so she's kind of visiting, being encased in seeing, okay, there's missing women, there's murders, there's this abuse, there's that abuse, there's this drug use, and she gets to leave, but that imprint is on her. And that's kind of the same feeling that I think a lot of the audience members would have, where you dive into all these issues and you see how prevalent they are and how serious they are, and then you step out of the theater and you think about it for a long time. I know I did, thinking, this isn't too far off from things that are actually happening, and not just because you find out the culprits weren't indigenous, but
It's like a local factory. Or
workers coming in
workers
from
that were-
outside.
yeah.
But it was still, you get the sense that it's not just outside things that are affecting the community, but doings inside that can have that same effect.
Yeah.
Tin Man, what do you think?
Just so for people that don't know, the missing and murdered Indigenous women's movement that was going on. So if anybody sees a woman with a red handprint on her face, or the red handprint itself, if you see that on people's cars, or you see that anywhere, that's what that's referring to, and that's what this movie is also referring to. So if anyone out there is wondering what that was, it's because of the lack of investigations or closed cases, or lack of even any type of attention to the high levels of murdered and missing women in Native America is so much higher than everywhere else, and there's no attention being paid to it. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Donald Trump's first term, he had put in place an act that was called Operation Lady Justice, and it specifically went after missing and murdered Indigenous women. It got no news. I think I saw it on one Facebook post, and I tried to read into it any further, but there was some type of initiative in that direction after this movie, apparently. So if anyone's wondering what that symbol is, or the paint on someone's face, that's what it's referring to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also, again, art imitating life. On the last Tonal album, Cardinal, the song Sleep Well is about that whole issue. The idea of, you want, as you go to bed, and we have daughters. And You want to just be able to kiss them on the forehead, say a prayer with them, and make sure they can sleep well. And as a parent now of a 19-year-old, God help us. And, you wonder if you can ever sleep well again while your little girls are grown up now and out there in the world, and especially with things like that happen.
Yeah.
And, it's a tough topic. And I commend filmmakers for jumping into those waters and telling those stories. And I think Wind River is about as it's about as good as it comes. Is I think make it a good film. First of all, it better be a good film.
Yeah.
Right. A great song can change the world. Right. But a great idea wrapped in a bad song is not going to get heard. Same thing with a film. Right. If you're going to write if you have a bad movie with bad acting and bad direction, the message isn't going to matter because it's not going to get out there. So it better be a good movie, and I think this is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like a very good, a very pretty flower that carries a seed. I think Wind River is very good at doing that. I walked away saying that was a good movie, and then afterwards I'm like, and I think it was good for me.
Nice.
Now, what do you think about? I didn't put this out there before, but we talked about the white savior idea. What do you think about Dune as Indigenous representation, although fictional?
Yeah, I'm always talking nonstop. We've met me, but it's a podcast, and downtime is bad time. So, I think I had less. We've talked about this a little bit off air. I've always had less problem with, I don't know the characters' names. Handsome guy, Chalamono, with his character.
Narrow it down.
Atreides, Paul Atreides,
the main guy.
The guy that
Timothy Chalamet.
I think so. Yeah, Chalamono.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
Timothée Chalamet.
Well, I remember,
that's his name in the movie. Is
I don't
Paul
know.
Atreides.
It was on the Golden Globes that way, and it was on the Academy Awards that way. They made a big joke about his name. I don't know his name. That's what I know him as. The Adam Sandler version of it. Anyway. I don't know if anybody else has the internet, but it's everywhere except for here, apparently. But that guy, his character, because when I watched the movie, it's like, yeah, he's the savior. He's the one. But I think the film sets you up for it. This film sets you up so much for it. It gives you the volleyball bump set, and as a watcher, I'm like, I can't help but go for the spike here. I can't help but kick the football because Lucy's holding it, and apparently that's what I'm supposed to do. And I think I fall for it. I'm like, look at he is the savior. When Zendaya's character, when her character is like pretty much saying, you're full of it. That's a bunch of BS. I think that the film does a good enough job of presenting her point of like, I'm so disappointed in you that you're writing this thing out. You know it's not true. So I think it presents enough of you're not the savior. Then when he goes through as the savior, it presents enough of a conflict that says, the filmmaker's very aware. To me, it felt like,
I think you get that when you see the second one.
Yeah,
because I feel like the first one, maybe you're not aware that's what you're seeing is the white savior coming into these sand people, and their culture, and just ravaging what they've built over the last whoever knows how long. But the second one really, like, there's, like you said, actual conversation where she's like, "What are you doing?
I know
this isn't you. We're separate here." They had the romantic story going on, but it was still like you said, pointing that out. But yeah, I feel like the second one really, hopefully, hammers it for some people. I know I have friends that watch it and don't get that, and that whole they don't perceive that message at all.
That's right.
And Timothy's or whatever Paul Atreides' character is just like the main character, and he's gonna. They're waiting for him to save the day and fight the Batista's whatever forces.
The weird, smooth, really white people.
The other white people.
Yeah. And I think that's
a nice veil you put on there. You're fighting the white people. Okay.
Nice veil.
So those are like, you see, you see those perceptions in the theming and the message behind the story, but not everyone can view the movie on that level. Even when you point out, like, you mean these white guys that they're about to go face, that they have this big war with, and the people that are living off the land are going to go fight, and they're riding the worms. It's like, that doesn't seem at all just, replace the horses with worms and replace, the plains instead of the deserts. And then you made the white people literally white. So, like, there's all these tools.
At least they didn't make the natives blue.
Blue eyes.
They gave him blue eyes. That's true. They gave him blue eyes. That's right.
But
he's going native. He's gone native. The spice has got him.
The spice. Like even the term. That's not the story altogether.
There we go.
Now,
that's what I'm here for.
Here's one of my. I used to watch this one all the time as a kid. Didn't get half the jokes or references, but Crocodile Dundee. You guys see that one?
Yeah,
I have.
So this is Australian Indigenous,
right?
Aboriginal
is on his walkabout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I remember, I felt like it treated it with respect, because like there's remember it was Mick and the girl were out in wherever at night, and they came across the people kind of doing their traditional dance, like around the fire or whatever, and she was kind of secretly taking photos, and it was kind of like a respected space, It was like, I know it's not for me to join in or to make any sudden anything. I'm just gonna keep my space, document it, so the people can learn a little bit more about this tribe or however they're referred to. And to me, it didn't feel like it was, because she's a journalist or whatever in the movie. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like she was objectifying them, or that wasn't her golden ticket.
It seemed like genuine.
It was like
awe or wonder.
Yeah, it was like, here's this tribe. Here's some, here's what they do, and and even Crocodile Dundee was, I think he partook in it, but like he participated in that stuff before. Like that was part of, he's out in nature, he's friends with these people, and he's participating because he was part of it. He was accepted as part of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move into a little, I guess, tougher waters here.
Oh, dear.
So the idea of being stuck in the past, and I kind of hinted at the idea of past events, burdens, history, those scars affecting the current situations of these characters. And I feel like a lot of times, even in real life, affecting how people in the community carry themselves. Kind of like Tin Man probably sees it quite a bit. Well, we're not talking to white man's government. Mm-hmm. We're not talking to those cops. And Tin Man being kind of the liaison between everything. And not just him, but, his dad and brother, and having to kind of be the person, the go-to person, for the reservation. Yeah. So this thought of not cooperating, not trusting, based on past resentment, I guess, feelings of hurt, like, the U.S. government hurt my ancestors and forced us on these reservations, and I carry that with me today, like that sort of thing.
I can tell you that it felt like, because when my dad first became a cop, I thought he was like betraying the nation, and I was 8th grade. I didn't have enough sense to know the weight of what he was carrying to take that position initially. Mm-hmm. And so it was, and I don't know why I thought that. I don't remember being taught that. I don't remember being told that explicitly, but that was my feeling. And I don't know why. It was just, I always felt like it was us versus them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just how we had that understanding.
Sure.
Like, no, you don't need to be out here. Like, that's how I thought growing up. And I have a response for people now, you know, like doing that job. Like, because there's people who will be like, we're not talking to you, not talking to you, not talking to you. We'll talk to you. I'm like, okay, no problem. Because they knew I'm here to help. I'm not here for, you know.
But you're vested.
Yeah.
That's what the community sees is like, this guy's got a skin in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does help. But when he first became a cop, I was like, so you're just gonna like I don't know why. I just felt like he was betraying the nation by doing it.
Sure.
And I didn't understand the weight of what he would have to do.
There wasn't a lot of Tuscaroras in general in law enforcement before that, and now there are
I don't
more.
think there was any. I think he was the first one.
So in my head, when I remember seeing it, because I'm very old, so I've been friends with these gentlemen's dads as much as I am with them, and now that their dads are mature gentlemen, I had to find a new generation of friends.
You're like right
so look how
us.
Hickok and Sterling, because we're hanging out in about 15 years, boys. Well, Tin Man and Voz mature. I will be right there with you, boys. So let's get the pizza ordered and the coffee maker going, boys, because we're having these same conversations. But like, I remember when he was doing that, I remember understanding exactly why and thinking, oh, cool, this is awesome. It's going to be having... And I thought to myself, being raised, you know, by, pretty veteran, you know, a military veteran, and someone who's very, this is the right and wrong way of doing things, and you're going to do the right thing even if it's a hard thing, you know, type of a dad. And respect authority, stand for the anthems, you know, because it's the right thing to do. Take your hat off during this, do this, you know, yes sir, no sir, when an adult's talking. Those type of things. Yeah. And then also feeling when your father became a police officer, feeling, all right, now we have someone that looks like us on their side. So now if there's a misunderstanding, we at least have an advocate. Which, no pressure, right? I say that all the time now. I pass that along to you. It's like no pressure. And then I just feel better that there's more people in law enforcement now and in law in general, that our voice gets heard, so there's a better understanding. I have, I'm going to volley it back to you because I got story after story about how I feel about that and how it's such a good thing to have that representation in law enforcement, right? Because we are saddled with generations of not maybe even resentment, but maybe a fearfulness, a distrust at very least. A distrust of authority.
It was like outright battle. There's been times, because I have a picture of my grandma when they were taking over land for the reservoir. The Power Authority coming to take land for the reservoir. There's pictures of her. I have family who's alive, but you know, during land that was being stolen by the state. The state police came in and trying to create lines, and there was like shots being fired at each other. It was quite a to-do. There's...
Well, I know my grandma had the story about someone from the Power Authority coming up, and she greeted them with a shotgun at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the nicest woman you'd ever meet.
But it was like war. You know, they were coming for the land. So it was a different time. And
so I wouldn't say unwarranted scars, you know, burdening the current mindset, but still, that's what you see in a lot of. I mean, you point out Wind River as probably the biggest one, where you see stuff from the past affecting how a lot of the conflict in the community, like the mental conflict for a lot of the members of the community. So you also get things stuck in the past. When I say stuck in the past, I think you sometimes get confused with keeping your traditions alive with maybe being stuck in the past a little bit. So you would think, when I say internet, listeners might think, yeah, been around for however long, and it's part of daily life and this and that. But when you say internet, at least in our community and on the reservation, is not everybody has it yet, even. And phone lines aren't a thing, or they haven't been for
30 years.
30
30
years.
years, yeah.
Running water, it's a well or it's a tank. There's
It's hit and miss.
Yep. And the quality of your water, like I know at my parents, you don't drink it. You drink bottled water. You don't even put a filter through it because it's just, even the smell of it, you're like, I'm not drinking that. And some of the traditions may be a little bit outdated. Just in, I don't say the customs themselves, no. That's what you practice, that's what you practice. But I don't know what's stopping from recording what should be and shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like actually start a collection of, because there's been so many times where there's a certain tradition happening and I'm thinking, well, it seems like some of the traditions change from event to event. And so when I say stuck in the past, I'm thinking, well, decide what it's supposed to be and then move forward. Don't try to remember what it used to be. Set the standard for what the tradition is now and move forward with it.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's a matter of convenience, and that's going to be potentially hurtful. But very often it goes by audience to audience, person to person, family to family, and then it becomes outsider coming in and telling Tuscaroras that this is how it's done. I'm thinking maybe where you're from, that's where it's done, how it's done, but not here. And they're like, well, you guys lost the way this time because you invited this and that. And I'm like, well, let's be clear here. You guys, there's no one true path on one territory. This was your path. This was, and there's teachings that say it is the way it's supposed to have been. And so if that's the case here, don't come here and tell me how I need to do this because this is how we do this here. And then, but you look at some of the origins of some of those things and you see that it's from the outside, or it's from this other group, or from this tribe that had nothing to do with the Haudenosaunee people altogether. It's from a whole different tradition, right?
Well, that's part of it too. Just the origin of the Tuscarora people is not, where we're sitting right now in Western New York. Like there's a migration from North Carolina, I don't know where.
Mm-hmm. And then even before that, from all of the indigenous folks from the Grand Canyon region, and then from there, from the Pacific Northwest, and from their origins. I mean, there's historical data you can look at for all our indigenous folks, that there's a commonality, and then, so it's like, wait a minute, I thought I was always here. You know what I mean? And these criticisms of organized religion, they're like, well, we've always been here. Well, that's just not true about always, always, always. There's migration patterns of people that go back to hunter-gatherer days and times when people followed the herds. Well, we've always been here. Historically, no. Maybe romantically, yes. And maybe with some storytelling, yes. But there's archaeological data that shows that migration patterns from the Grand Canyon area for almost all of the indigenous tribes in North, South, and Central America at one point were in that region. Again, it's not a history lesson or archaeology lesson, but a lot of the history and a lot of the, like, well, we lost this way, is like, well, it just depends how far back in history you want to go. Well, you got to know your history. You broke away from this. Well, if we're all picking the time machine dates of where we're going back to, some people want to go back 4 or 5 generations, 7. Some people want to go farther back. It's like, this isn't who we are. I'm like, well, how many generations do I have to go back to find out who you want me to be? You want me to go back 8? Because then that's before, this happened? Or do you want me to go back 12? Because that's before this teaching came along? Or do you want me to go back 25 generations? You know what I mean? You got to go back farther. Or you didn't go back far enough. When it becomes that, then it becomes very murky, right? And when it becomes murky in a oral tradition, the more murk that comes into an oral tradition, it becomes. This is interesting right now. It's got heavy, but I want to just share something about a comedian. I say a friend of mine, but I like him, Joey Clift, Cowlitz tribe, Native American comedian, said it this way: if you only see yourself viewed in the past tense as something, as the people that existed hundreds of years ago, and have since been snuffed out or passed into the sands of time, what does that tell you about not just what your future is, but what your present is? And it was part of a comedy bit that he did, but also he's a pretty good, renowned writer, goofy, funny dude. Not my kind of comedy, but he's hilarious and he's very smart. He's been in like the Washington Post and he does political cartoons and things like that. But he's someone I think is interesting because what motivates him to do what he does is seeing like the old school portrayals in film and things, and the not just the romanticizing, but like painting us as this before Europeans came, we had it all figured out and we were just fine and everything was perfect. And he said, well, this is just not true. There's conflict, and there's conflict between us and among us. And we had conflicting ideals between each other that were probably more passionate than before a common enemy being the Europeans came. And some of the comedy that he talks and delves into are very heavy issues, things that permeate Indian country, suicide and missing women and things like that. And he jumps into those things without fear because he's like, well, we're still very much here, and these things are still on our table, so we still need to discuss them. I'm choosing to discuss them with humor because that's how our people tend to talk about hard things. And I think that I think that's where art and authentic art comes in, because you can look at hard topics and talk about them in a way that you can almost kind of detach yourself from. I'm creating an art here, I'm creating a piece here that people are going to talk about and might inspire some conversations that might not have. This silly little podcast might inspire conversations that might otherwise not happen. And even though we're just talking about three specific perspectives and lenses here and the way we perceive things, my hope is that other people pick up the conversation, maybe give a listen to either part of the podcast or even this episode and say, we've been waiting for you three Native American men to talk about Indigenous representation. Here it is. And boy, am I disappointed in you, Braley. That's fine. But then tell me why, and then what's a better way of phrasing it? Or how do you think I should have said that? I'm not changing, by the way. I might broaden my perspective. I might broaden my understanding, but I'm not going to change how I feel at the core of some of these things. But it might give me a better understanding if someone else says something. You know what I mean? So, people are like, well, what are you doing to make the change? What are you doing to fix it? This, you silly rabbit. This, I'm doing this. And because we're inviting people to the conversation. Sit at the table. What do you think about it? And I think tradition and values and things like that, man, that's a sticky topic. And it can be divisive, but it doesn't have to be.
So, Tin Man, I don't think we've heard your perspective, though, on the idea of maybe being stuck in the past a little bit for the community. Or if you want to give it.
Yeah. No, I don't want to give it.
Okay.
I don't know if I really have one. I don't know.
That's fair.
There's a lot of people I know that I feel like are stuck in the past, but I like that they stay there. Like I have family that like, I'll do it the old way. I'll do it the slow way. I'll do it the harder way, because that's tried and true. If I try anything new, it might work out. It might be easier. It might be whatever. But I'm used to this. I'm used to doing something this way, and I don't dislike them for it. I don't. I like that it stays. I like that it still feels like it's still that way. Still, there's old values that I feel like are getting lost. I go off the res and everything's new, fast pace. Mm-hmm. I had a guy the other day needed a tow, and the tow guy came and he's like, I got $20. He's like, I don't carry cash. Who carries cash? It's 2025. And I remember being like, what a weird feel. I can go back home. And everybody has a couple bucks on them. Mm-hmm. Like I got my grandpa just starts using like the Venmo. He's got so he was selling his jewelry, arts and crafts and stuff, and he had a Venmo thing.
The little reader?
Yeah, and I was like, that's crazy, because he is such the last person to do this. And I was like,
that's a sign the apocalypse is upon us, buddy.
My grandpa's making antlers into rattles with horns and cherry pits, and
what a weird juxtaposition.
And he's got a Venmo, like a carved out of wood Venmo, like snap. I'm like, that's so crazy.
I love that.
So I'm like, oh, that's so weird.
Your grandma's laughing her butt off somewhere.
I know, right?
That's a good example, though, of not being stuck in the past.
That's exactly right.
You're
and so
keeping
it
your
feels
traditions and your customs, but you're upgrading.
Yeah.
Well, everyone pays with
and it's
whatever.
such a weird thing.
Love
so
it.
I don't dislike it. Don't feel it. It's just some people have a way of doing it, and then some, like he's still making and selling the things he did 50 years ago, 40 years ago, that he sells at the picnic, that he sells at powwows all over the place, that he sells at the boutique they had at the Nation building. And he's got a Venmo thing. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
That's
carved
so
out
cool.
of wood. You scan it, it's carved
it
out of wood.
Of course it is. It's freaking awesome.
So this isn't, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, because, this idea of, quote, being stuck in the past, because you have people everywhere in society that have some sort of burden or memory or experience that affects them day to day. Whether it be some form of abuse that happened as they were a kid that it just shapes the way they are as a person, or some traumatic experience that, again, shapes the way that they act each day. And so I think it's just that in a lot of media or movies, TV shows, you see it portrayed a lot when you're talking about a Native story. And not just within the Native community, but I think also non-Native movies portraying Natives can be a little bit stuck in the past. So we mentioned Parasite as this is the South Koreans' point of view of how Native Americans are depicted, and how that filmmaker chose to use that imagery for their story. So that even gives a crazy perspective on, it made me think twice, like, why are you using this? So then, you kind of get, however you want to perceive his usage of it, but it's like, like do you still think that's how we all live, though? Like, it's, and then you have movies like Hell or High Water that we had watched, where it's the brother Tanner, Toby and Tanner. Tanner's the rougher one, where he calls himself Comanche, right?
Yeah.
Because that's his perception, is how these people have survived, or whatever the history, of the place. And that's how he refers to them. Not the current version where, they show them in like a casino and whatever. Not that version. He's referring to the Comanche Lord of the Plains, and, the people that did this and that and survived and whatever. Right. That's his perspective.
The warrior version.
That was his perception as this old school warrior, And I think even, again, something like Smoke Signals, where you're stuck in the past, but it's like the example I gave of modern society, where this guy had an alcoholic father who may not have been there all the time for him and may not have been the most supportive person, but he was still his father. And I think that's a universal thing that people can relate to. And, again, maybe stuck in the past, this is affecting who he is day to day. You see throughout the movie, he struggles with how to remember his father. And I think that one is pretty relatable. And I think that's part of why Smoke Signals is so successful.
You're right.
Is because that story right there, even though, again, it's about something from the past affecting them right now, that is relatable to a bigger audience. This idea kind of evolved, because at first, you look at our own community and you see, why do you still do things this way? Can't you upgrade any part of this so that people growing up can still have the customs and traditions, but also integrate into regular daily life, like internet, is a big one. Phone lines are a big one, running water, stuff that would just, you don't have to die on those hills. Like you can still increase the quality of life using, with those things, but still keep who you are as a nation intact. And because you see other nations, we just played in Tonawanda for the basketball tournament, and they have water there. They have whatever you need to run a public basketball tournament in that building, and we won't be able to do that, And so as that idea evolved, I'm picking things on screen where you're seeing old depictions of things. So things like Lone Ranger again, where it's a modern movie, well, quote modern, probably 15 years ago at this point, but it's depicting the things of the past, and not really, I mean, of course, that's when the story is set, but the idea that these movies keep being made about the past so that they can, like you said, a little bit of convenience there. Well, I want to portray the native this way. I want to portray this story about the native in that sense. I don't want to portray it now. I want to use that imagery from back then. And so as this idea evolved, it became a little bit broader in terms of, well, what are these stories? What is stuck in the past? And it became a lot of the, burdens and mental blocks about pain and suffering from the past that has been brought down generations. And we talked about our poverty episode about poverty being passed down generation to generation, and Hell or High Water brings it up. Toby he wants that to stop with his children. He said, his kids aren't going to grow up poor.
Yeah.
And
so it drives them and motivates them.
Right. And so that idea, that's where it kind of bloomed for me was, well, a lot of these issues, can be universal. Trauma and confusion and hurt can all be stuff that people relate to. So that was my whole spiel on stuck in the past not necessarily being a bad thing when I bring it up. Any thoughts on that before I move on?
Oh, it's good.
That makes good sense.
So off of that gloomy section there, what makes us happy or proud to see with Indigenous representation when we see it in movies?
I mean, I'm always drawn to the authenticity. If you see something that you've seen at home, or if you see something, not much film, but I think of like Reservation Dogs and things like that, and Smoke Singals, you see something funny and you can relate to that. That's what I like to see.
That's what I was going to say.
I like to see people having like common struggles as a general American or Western civilization person, because we're all just people trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I like whenever I see films that have a portrayal, Val Kilmer struggling with his identity being half white.
Yeah.
Not really struggling with it, but like almost rejecting a little bit of his traditional who he is, and then kind of finding his way, saying,
let's pause on that movie.
Already. Yeah, but I like seeing like any kind of character that kind of embraces, because I think I struggle that way too. Is a little bit being, you feel as a Christian person, you feel like a little bit outsider. You hear the Apple terms. I went to a school off the reservation, and well, you're red on the outside, but you're white on the inside. It's like, oh yeah, try a new one. If you want to get through to me, you're gonna have to try something better than that. I've heard that since kindergarten, for crying out loud. Pretty good one when you're a kid, but oh, it cuts deep. Yeah, but then all you can do though is just show authenticity. For 53 years, I love my community. You know what I mean? Love my folks. These are authentic traits here. I'm gonna stop there. I won't get too far into it because that permeates all of it for me.
Okay.
I'll go with like that sense of humor. There's an odd sense of humor that not everybody gets, that not everybody finds the same funny, but you can find a native in anywhere in Native America, anywhere. And if you have conversation, you jump in and you got a zinger, you throw it out there, they're going to laugh. it's gonna connect,
And you're in.
and you're in. But it goes all the way across. I went to Hawaii on a trip, and I'm like, okay, there's Hawaiian so and so Patterson, there's Hawaiian so and so Mount Pleasant over there, and I'm like, what the heck? And even their sense of humor over there, I'm like, you guys are natives. There's I was like, huh, it's odd. But if you have a good little line, little zinger, that's just, and I just feel like I'm thinking this is funnier than everyone else here because I grew up on a reservation. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like that connects more than anything sometimes.
I agree with that.
Okay. I'll go with, I feel like I got a couple things. One is if the product itself is good. So Wind River. Was it award nominated? So for it to be widely accepted is one, where not just our little community, but everyone can see that is good work right there. And it involves, native representation.
Yeah, it's not just a crappy movie.
Right. It's not just an inside joke. It's not just, this guy from this nation made it. It's a movie about this. It has Indigenous people in it, about it. That's one thing. But even the subject matter, when I see it on screen, is the I feel it's going to be sound a little corny, at least coming from Mr. Vosley, but like the acceptance and the working together between nations and peoples. So it's people kind of coming together for a common purpose. Like we're just all in this together. It's not this side natives, that side the other people. It's not for a reference for our nation. It's not just two rows, right?
Yeah.
It's everyone's in this together. You may be from this origin, but we're all striving to make this world a better place for the future. We're all doing this in whatever movie. We're all working together to do this. It's not two separate agendas here. It's these people doing this. So movies like Windtalkers, I think, is very gratifying because they're all working together in this war.
And they're very at odds with each other throughout the beginning.
Right. And that's part of it is like you don't have to agree on everything, but you're together.
Yeah.
So I won't go too far into Windtalkers because that's one of Tin Man's things.
Or Predator. Billy.
But kind of going off of that, showing Indigenous peoples not as better or worse, but just as is, just represented, alongside of whatever story you're saying.
What's kind of cool? I just thought of this one. Die Hard with a Vengeance. All the police officers are trying to find this bomb that's in a building, and they've got a bunch of detectives, people involved, trying to find who this mass terrorist is. One of the cops is Graham Greene. And I was like, this is a native guy playing just native. He's played only native roles that I know of. And this one, he's a regular cop. Like he's in the mix. He's one of the detectives trying to track this down. I was just I was like, oh sweet, there's Graham Greene.
I was going to bring up this thing because that means that's just another character, a part of society, a part of this bigger thing.
Right.
And it's not, he got this job
because
he's a native
guy. No, he played just a good actor.
So the example I was going to give was Heat with Wes Studi.
Yeah, another one.
Like where it doesn't have to be like, he's native, he's our native guy. Right. Give us some native knowledge and representation. It's, he's just a cop or FBI agent, whatever actor. He is.
Yeah.
And that's that. Seeing that makes me more proud than seeing something like Prey.
I like that.
Where Prey
I like that. I like that.
All about we got the language, we got this and that. It's like, no. This is an actor getting this role as this person in this huge movie.
Yeah.
Like that's
been,
real representation.
That's absolutely true.
It could have went to any other actor. It wasn't because it needed to be native, but it was just a good actor for
That's
the
really
role.
Good. Almost akin to Eddie Schiffert getting casted as a native in the Last of the Mohicans and playing a French or British colonists playing lacrosse against the native team. Very similar. Very similar. That's not true. I don't know why I'm talking. 12:03. We're at the 3-hour mark.
We're at the 3 hour.
All right. Well, so do you guys have any favorites then for Indigenous representation? Could be full movies, could be certain scenes, whatever you got.
So I just throw out there Predator.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys, Billy, is a native guy. He plays the role of like the tracker. Mm-hmm. Go figure. It's like, oh, you got your native tracker, and like that's. if I actually catch sometimes like if I've actually tracked down natives or suspects before, like at work, and they're like, "Oh, we got our native tracker on it," and I did not feel offended by it one bit. I was just like, "No, it's because I'm good," you know.
I was gonna say it can't be the fact that you kick ass at it.
Like, how'd you find him? I was like, because I could smell him. I could see his feet prints. But, you know, like I could smell him.
His mom was in here crying.
He was in the wind. I could smell him in the wind. Actually, my dad was the one who told me, he goes, if you're chasing someone, they always go left, then they go left again and hide. Left, hide, all the time. And weirdly enough, if you're chasing someone and they have a left angle to turn, they'll turn once, and then they'll turn a second time when you can't see them, and then they'll hide. Left, turn. It's the weirdest thing, but he wasn't wrong.
So you guys out there playing Warzone, keep that in mind.
All you criminals listening to this podcast,
yeah,
make sure you turn right
they're
next
getting
time.
hints. Yeah,
How do you thwart the Tin Man? Turn right, baby.
turn right. It's like chasing Bart Simpson with
Yeah,
his
he's got
blinker on and turn the blinker. Like, hey, where'd he go?
That's funny that us other idiots were thinking of the exact same thing.
But Billy from Predator, I always thought that was super cool. Then he has a standoff with him, and he pulls the medicine bag he's got hanging. The leather with your tobacco they carry in the medicine bag, and he pulls it off. Then tries to go one-on-one with the Predator. I thought it was a cool moment that he was having. They didn't have him being extra native or nothing.
Sure. Yep.
He was just a native guy playing that role.
Well, that's part of what I like to see though, in terms of native representations. Like you don't have to go into a big backstory about you don't have to show him like praying
Sonny
or anything.
Landham. Sonny Landham was his name. That's right. Yeah.
It's just that's his character.
Yeah.
You know.
And they said he was pretty wild on set that they needed to bring bodyguards for against him for everyone else.
Protect everybody else.
To protect everyone else against him. I was like, wow, that's pretty wild. And you have so many big, muscular, crazy guys in there, and they're like, no, the native guy's too wild. So I'm throwing that one out there. I just thought it was cool. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. Still one of my top 50s of all time. Just a super cool Army Rangers, guys, special forces, guys in the jungle having to fight a crazy monster alien. It's just growing up, that was such the coolest movie. And the older I get, the more and more like cool it feels. I was like, what a well done, just action movie, just the action movie to grow up on. And just throw that one out there. Okay, so my next movie, real quick, is going to be Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. If anyone's seen that one, that's with Adam Beach. That's what it was. Same one from Windtalkers. Adam Beach plays like a Western medicine native guy. So he's the one that's trying to convince everyone to go to the reservations because we have it all set up for you. They're going to create the lands for you just to be on. We'll make sure that you have cattle. We'll take care of all of your needs. And he was the one that was trying to push for it. And then realizing the depression that was creating on putting them on reservations, that there was no life left in the people that he had moved, thinking he was doing what was right, and then is trying to fight back against it after he had fixed everything for everybody. He was like the inside man for the government that was coming in. He had to issue, because they kept asking for brown bottles. We're out of brown bottles, and it's like a little bit of medicine that had like tiny bit of alcohol in them, and they were just guzzling them because it was the only thing that they were using to cope with their loss of any type of life that was left in them. Really interesting movie. It was like an HBO series, like a short, like an HBO special. But everyone gets a chance. Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee is really good.
All right. Did you want to hit Windtalkers real quick too?
Yes, Windtalkers. Super cool. World War II action movie. Navajo code talkers were brought in to to speak to each other in order for the Allied forces to convey information without the Axis powers getting any wind of what was going on.
Right. They couldn't understand the Navajo
They
language.
couldn't break the code.
Right.
And were unable to hear the plans as they were going, so they used Navajo speakers, and he plays one of the speakers, Adam Beach, also in this movie.
Again. Yep.
I don't know. It was a good role. Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage, learning a little something about Navajo people and gaining a little respect for them. I think that was a few of the characters that the soldiers kind of. What are we putting our lives on the line for these people for? And then realizing how important they are. And again, working together for a common cause. Next, K-Max.
Go ahead.
So I have a few. I'm going to defer on all the ones that I listed because, in the name of authenticity, I'm going to throw 3 films out there because they're from a very close perspective of my own.
Okay.
But within my own boundaries and within my own tribe and within my own clan, such different perspectives than I do. But I've only seen one of these movies in full, and I've seen clips of the other 2. So Tuscarora filmmaker Ruchatneet Prinup has made 3 films that I've seen. One that I've seen full of is Unseen Tears, 2013, a documentary about residential schools and Tuscarora residents who have survived them. And their family members.
He did that?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
I did see that.
And the next one was like a sophomore project that he did, but I saw clips of it, and they showed full of it at the Nation House, and I didn't see the whole thing, but I'm going to, because he works at that same gym. So I see him at the gym, and I'm like, I want to see this. Dreams Interrupted, about an Indigenous college lacrosse player whose mom dies and uncovers all the hidden trauma, family trauma, when he goes back for her funeral. So there's some similar movies you could probably think of that have those kind of themes, but I'm interested in seeing that. There's one scene that I saw that was very relatable to, I think, every audience that I think gives it a chance for people to relate to. I don't know. We'll see. I see the whole thing. Nice. I'm looking forward to it. And then the last one is Smoke, which deals with something that's pretty timely, I believe so, because this is a woman's return from rehab, from drug and addiction rehab, to find a balance as getting her family back, being a mom, and dealing with the specter of addiction. And again, the trauma behind all that. And I think it's neat to have a filmmaker making things from a perspective right around the bend.
Yeah.
And it being so similar and being so different than how I look at those same issues. That's what I can't wait for. So I hope you guys can take a look at those too. The reason why I picked those 3 over the other blockbusters that I had is because as we're having a conversation tonight, I use the word authentic a lot. And so I want to see, maybe not even Hollywood making films, but as far as representation goes, I'd be proud to see films made by us, about us. And that might not be a blockbuster, but it might be a stepping stone for those people taking chances, those artists taking bold chances to maybe hit the right stepping stone and make bigger films. You know what I mean?
Nice.
There it is.
Yeah. Right there. Shout out to the Turtle Clan.
Yep.
Turtle power.
Turtle.
Turtle power.
That's right. Ruchatneet Prinup.
So my first one might be a little controversial. It's Pocahontas.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get in there.
So we talked a little bit about it in an earlier episode. I can't recall which one it was, but the themes of seeing things from a different point of view. That was probably it. What was the episode
After
called?
Further Review?
After Further Review. So seeing things from a different perspective. And I think that's to me, that's a huge thing that's needed right now, I feel like, in these times in this country, is just being able to respect that other people have a different point of view. And you don't have to agree, but if you could at least just accept that and understand where someone else is coming from in their train of thought before you act. And so that theme does a huge thing for me. And if people want to say, well, the obvious objectifying or whatever of the the history of the actual person and all that, I have no argument. But as I recall, attending Tuscarora School as a kid, we definitely had a program or two where we're singing songs from this movie. So if it's wrong now, I mean, my own school taught it to me. And so when you mentioned From the Bend, I so wanted to say From the River Bend?
River Bend.
From around the River Bend?
Just
around
the River Bend.
But authenticity is a funny word to use in this situation.
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
right. That's right.
But again, you had some native people in those roles, though. Who was the guy who played the chief? Do you guys remember?
That's the thing is,
That's my job. Sorry.
I know.
These white men are dangerous.
Yeah.
That guy.
You sound exactly like him. Or Don Rickles, I can't tell. This episode brought to you by Don Rickles.
Nope, that's the wrong movie. I checked the cast and it's like Christian Bale.
Yeah,
What?
he's in it.
What?
Sure
Oh,
is.
he is. My bad.
Thomas.
He's also in
American
a
Psycho?
new the New Land? No, what is it called? A New World? The New World? He's also in a movie called The New World. That's what's throwing me off. Oh, Irene
Russell Means,
Russell Means, that's right.
Oh, really?
Powhatan. So sue me.
Russell Means, big activist in his time.
And he's the chief of.
Funny story. No, I won't go into him.
So yeah.
Yeah, get back into it. Sorry. Yeah.
So Pocahontas, mainstream story that included natives, had a theme of seeing things from another point of view, and understanding that that's okay, and we don't have to be at war because of it. Next one is Skins. Have you guys seen this one? 2002.
I've seen it a long time ago.
I have not.
Yeah, that one's cool.
That one
story.
felt very relatable for at least Native communities where there's a lot of confusion. You have a character that goes away from the Reds, comes back. He's a law enforcement, and a lot of complex feelings, I think, of respect and ancestry and brotherhood and responsibility.
There's also a Chris Iyer movie.
Who's Chris Iyer?
He's the one who did Smoke Signals. He was the director for Smoke Signals.
So this character has all of these thoughts and things happen that kind of shape his perspective of how he should be feeling throughout the movie. And because his I think it's his brother, played by Graham Greene, who is an alcoholic, and you see the way he acts. And again, like you guys say, you can point him out in your own families, even not even communities, but families. You can point this guy out, and to see that character go through what he does, and like I said, I feel like it's very relatable for
There's
for just Native communities in general.
He's because the main character plays a cop who's feeling like their justice isn't being done, and there's one scene I can think of in particular where he I think it was puts a mask on his face, covers his face up, paints his face, and then covers it with pantyhose or something like that, a robber, and just baseball bats these goons that are having a campfire, and breaks their kneecaps.
Yeah.
Because they're like the criminals that he can't quite arrest because there's not enough proof or evidence or whatever, and he's like, nope, I'm gonna do something to help fix this land, my people, and they deserve it. And so he becomes a vigilante. I think he burns down there's a beer factory or whatever.
I won't spoil too much of it because it is that's a niche movie, I think.
Yeah.
So I feel like people should give that one a chance.
Oh yeah.
Skins, Tubi maybe.
I'll take a look at it.
It's a. Darn it.
But yeah,
It's 2002. It's a 2002 movie. Yeah.
but maybe this is just my own personal perception of it, but I feel like it was a lot of this guy coming back to his community and not thinking he's better, but thinking, what are we doing, guys? Let's go. Let's get back on the right track here. But not trying to alienate people while he does it is the struggle too. So the last one I have is not from North America, but from the American Samoa.
Okay.
Next Goal Wins. I think it was last year or the year before. Michael Fassbender, about the coach that he's assigned to the team, the men's soccer team in the American Samoa, and it's kind of your ragtag group of people, and you have
It's the story of the infamously terrible American Samoa soccer team, known for a brutal 2001 FIFA match. They lost 31-0.
What?
Yeah. So it's
Wilson lacrosse team under Braley? Sorry, guys.
So it's that story of that coach kind of being demoted to coaching this team.
I see.
But he learns a little bit about himself, why he does what he does, and a little bit about these people.
This is written and directed by Taika Waititi.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, very mainstream.
Okay.
But just the way that these people are depicted as like the calming force, the calming entity of the movie, and helps the Fassbender's character to kind of center himself. And
nice. I love me some Taika.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I think that one is worth a watch too.
Next Goal Wins 2023.
Yeah, it's a feel good movie. I mean, you don't get too many of those from Mr. Vosley, but I enjoyed that one.
It's what Crooked Arrows should have been.
Probably, because they still had a lot of like that type of humor in there, and as they talk, you're like, I would fit right in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice.
There's so they show some cultural stuff in there too. Okay. So they live in a Christian area, and so every day at 12 or something along those lines, they stop what they're doing and they pray. So like they had a practice, and Fassbender's like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we pray at this time. So it was kind of funny to see them. It's almost like Shikaka, from Pet Detective. So it's kind of like that, where it's like the clock strikes 12 and everyone just like freezes and closes their eyes. And but yeah, that movie thoroughly enjoyed. Didn't think I would. And it's got that team had a player that was in transition
from male to female.
Yeah, or something along those lines. Like I don't know for sure what the transition was. It was something to something.
Okay.
But it depicted that situation with respect also.
Huh. Okay.
So, yeah. So those are my favorites. We've kept you guys for a good long while here talking about Indigenous people in movies, Indigenous people in general, our experiences, and hopefully it was a little educational. But again, this is just our perspectives from three guys.
Shout out to everybody out there trying to make it happen. Actors, writers, anybody going into music, film, any native people, any indigenous folks, keep doing it, keep trying. Someone's got to do it. There's people out there doing it already. There's our friend Tin Man here. You can see faces in movies. You can see folks from our community as extras in major blockbuster films. Good friend Daryl Tonema in the Cherokee Word for Water. There's movies out there written, directed, produced, acted in, promoted by, distributed by Indigenous folks. So yeah, this is about representation, but you want authenticity, get out there and make these movies, go out there and be in these movies. Try it. Give it a shot. Don't be scared.
Hopefully members of this own podcast can add to that soon.
Oh, yeah.
Someday.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we got. Oh, so we're we're going to be watching the 3-hour podcast. We're going to have 3 movies then. So first movie, native listeners might have picked up that we deliberately weren't talking about this one. Thunderheart.
Ooh.
Val Kilmer, R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll do that one first. Then we're going to move into award nominated. I don't think it won for last year. Or nominated 2000. It's from 2024. Sugarcane. Kind of deals with the residential stuff, the residential schools.
I just started that one.
So we'll be watching that one second. And then we're going to end off with kind of a radical one, I guess. Avatar is going to be our third one.
What?
Okay.
So the Blueskins.
The Blueskins.
That was on more levels than I anticipated it as it came out.
Okay, Edge. Play the blues.